Happy video day, guys. Christina Brooke here. Today we are doing a Make Up Your Mind. So this one was highly requested by you guys. I got so many DMs for this palette. And I wonder why, because I'm gonna be honest, I'm not like super in love with this palette, but a lot of you guys really wanted to see this. So this is the brand new release from Urban Decay. So it's their new Naked palette and it's called their Cyber palette. It's gonna have 12 shades in a bunch of different finishes and $49 US. So it's supposed to be coming to the website in September. So we're gonna start seeing this in September. And it's like a futuristic looking palette, and some of you guys actually sent me from the Trend Mood site that they actually released some swatches of what it was gonna look like, and I also found the swatches from the Urban Decay website. So I found a bunch of swatches so that I can go ahead and start searching through my collection and try to mimic this palette to get an idea if I like it. Now I'm gonna start off this video saying that I don't like it, but this is not my style of palette. So it has something interesting about it because I feel like the shades in here are going to be unique. Like they're gonna have like shifty glitteriness, but it's a very pale palette and I don't have shades similar to these 100% because like I said, these are all like shifty glittery things. So it's a little cybery. I will say that my new Pat McGrath palette had like 2 shades that are similar to what I think that this idea is going to be, and that's good enough for me, you know? Like I don't really love this color store. So what I'm doing here is I'm just trying to swatch out what this palette is going to look like so that I can get an idea if this is even something I want to pick up. Like, do I have these shades 100 times over? Do I even like these shades? Which from the palette, I don't like them. I don't know. Maybe when I start swatching them, maybe my mind will change. But like just in general, do I really want to pick this up? So that is what we do in these videos. But if you are not subscribed already, I would love it if you would go ahead and hit subscribe. I always do these Make Up Your Minds every time new palettes release. We have fun trying to find them through our collections. I show you guys what I came up with and give you guys some details on the color story and whether I think it's gonna be something that I wanna pick up or not. So anyways, let's go ahead, let's get into it. We've got a lot to go over here, and hit subscribe if you haven't already. So like I said, I did look through my collection. I did find similar colors. So let me go ahead and show you guys the results. Here are the results. So these are the swatches released from Urban Decay, and these are the colors that I found in my collection that looked the most similar to these colors that were swatched on the Urban Decay website. So here's the thing, guys. So like I know that this isn't going to be perfect because these are going to be like glittery, shifty shades, like kind of like those psychedelic kind of like, you know, like they like kind of like shift shades, and then they're also going to have like probably pretty good amount of glitter in them. So I don't think I can get them like perfect, but I can get an idea of the color story. So let me first tell you guys the palettes that I used. I did jump into quite a few different palettes to really match up the color story. I jumped into the Carli Bybel palette from Anastasia. I feel like Carli Bybel should have released this palette this year because it would have been like right on trend. I jumped into the Brown Obsessions. I jumped into the Caramel Obsessions. I also took 1 shade out of the Patrick Ta palette and 1 shade out of the Sephora Pro. So that's how I came up with this color story. Like I said, don't think I have like a palette in particular that I feel like I have this color story, you know? But let's go ahead and let's get into the first color. So for the first color, I jumped into the Huda Caramel Obsessions, and I jumped into this 3rd shade right here. It's kind of like a reddish caramelly color, and it is the color that I felt looked the most similar to the swatch. I went through a few of my palettes to kind of come up with something that I felt matched the swatch a lot, and this is the color that matched the most. Now I'm going to tell you guys, this is a pretty shade. I actually use this color a lot. I actually even think that the new Urban Decay palette might even go a little bit redder than this one, like even lighter. So that actually is not going to be a great thing. I feel like this is as red brown as I enjoy because it gives me dimension. I have it on my outer edge, but even lighter than this might start losing its effect on my skin tone. So I do think from the swatch it might be a tad lighter than this color. It might still fall into acceptable for me. acceptable. All right, so the next color is where I jumped into Mr. Patrick Ta. So this one had like kind of like a peachy undertone, but it was a little bit bronzy. So I jumped into Patrick Ta. This palette was one of the palettes that I believe goes like the peachiest in my collection. I jumped into this third shade right here. This reminds me a lot of the color, at least the undertone does. It has a little bit of a peachy tone to it, then it also has a little bit bronzy tone to it. And this is like one of the deepest colors in this palette when it comes to metallics all over the lid shades. This is like the deepest one, and it's really not that deep, especially compared to a lot of shades in my collection. It's not like that deep. I like these two colors together. Actually, in the Patrick Ta palette, there's a color very similar to the one we just swatched. They're right on top of each other. They work really nice together. So yes, I do like these two colors together. Just depends on the formula. So then the next color, I actually jumped into Carli Bybel, and this is the only color that can give me like this similar idea, and it was this color right here called Libra from Carli Bybel. Now this one kind of has like a shiftiness to it, and I think it's because it's going to have like a lot of glitter in it, but it's a purple, and then it kind of looks like it has a little bit of like burgundy in it. I don't think it's a dual chrome in the new palette. I'm not sure, but it kind of looks that way in the swatch. Like I can't get like a true color out of it, but this is the color that matched the best to me. Honestly, it's not a color I use very often, not even in the Carli Bybel palette. It's kind of just like just like a boring color, and I feel like it looks a little boring. I think it's boring. I think it's gonna have a lot more glittery particles in it, but I think it's just gonna be more like one of those shades that's gonna be like dual chromey with glitter, and it's gonna be like, woo, look what I've got. Okay, so for the next shade is where I jumped into Sephora Pro, and I jumped into this last shade right here, which is like a silver, and this is the only silver that I had in my collection that kind of mimicked this, because it almost looked like it's going to be a little bit sheer, and it's probably just going to have a lot of glitter, but it's going to be silver. So this is the most sheer silver that I have that's not like a metallic, that has a little bit of glitter. Now I do think that this new palette is going to have a lot more glitter, so it's not going to be as dull as this. It's going to have a lot more glittery particles in it, but it's going to be silver and a little bit sheer. And it's okay, it's just not really my style. When it comes to silvers, I feel like I like that foiled silver. I think that's a really cool way to apply silver. But like silver with a bunch of glitters in it, it reminds me of like very 2000s. So I guess I see where they're going here, but it's just not, I don't love it, you know? And I do have to say, like, like the silver with these shades, like I'm just kind of like confused on the color story, to be honest. Like I feel like it was more of a palette to just like put a bunch of like glittery like light shades in than color story, because like right now this silver topper, I guess you could just put it on top of this if you want. All right, so the next color I got in Carli Bybel again, and this is this color called Boy here on the top. It's like a pinky champagne-y metallic. Doesn't have as much glitter as the new palette, but the undertone's going to be very similar to this, so imagine it's going to look like this but with a bunch of glitter. I almost feel like just going into my Pat McGrath palette and just putting glitter on top of all of these and just dabbling it on top and being like, there we go, there's the glitter. This kind of reminds me of like Claire's makeup style. Like, oh, that sounds horrible. But like, you know, like when you buy kid makeup and they always have like all that glitter in it and it's like very sheared out colors, like that's what it's reminding me of. I mean, I could be completely wrong. I don't have the palette, but just by the swatches, that's what it's reminding me of. So this is like a pinky, very glittery color. All right, so the next color, I jumped back into Carli Bybel and I grabbed this color called Aurora. Very pretty pink. I really love this color in Carli Bybel, and it does like a really pretty effect. I think it's a very pretty shade. Now I do think inside of the Urban Decay one, it's gonna have a similar undertone to this, but this is another one that's gonna be very glittery, that are probably gonna shift to green or something like that. That are gonna be like little tiny glitters in there, but it's gonna have that undertone. Like I said before, with the color story that we've got going out here in this really warm, like reddish brown deepening shade with these colors, like I just don't know if I love it, especially with all the colors that are in here. I feel like the next few shades make a lot of sense with this color, but like up to here I was kind of like, okay, so here is where I start to see, okay, I get why this color is here. So I went into the Huda Beauty Brown Obsessions and I went into this color right here. It's a very light, like peachy coral with a little bit of orange in it. So now I'm starting to see a little bit more warmth. I'm playing with this color a little bit. I'm seeing like how I can play with maybe some of these topper shades, not every single one of them, like this purple and silver kind of throw me off, but definitely I could see how this is matching with some of these peachy tones. I love these type of shades, so like I'm not gonna say I don't love those type of shades. I really, really do. I think they're absolutely stunning. It actually could probably work with pinks, but I just think this pink is just too light for it. I think it's just all a little too light. So then for the next color, we're having like a little bit of a peachy, kind of orangey metallic shade. I found it inside of the Huda Brown Obsessions one more time, and it's this shade right here. And I feel like it's gonna look kind of similar to this, very pretty, peachy tone with a bunch of little glitters in it. I think it's gonna look like that, a little bit sheer. Also a very pretty topper shade, just like not stand on its own shade. Very, very pretty though. And depending on how many glitters in it, I mean, it could look nice. All right, so moving on to the next shade, I jumped into this one from the Caramel Obsessions, which is a little bit deeper and still metallic and still within that orangey peachy color. And I think it's gonna look something similar to that. It might actually be a little bit lighter, a little bit more sheer, a little bit more glowy, but something similar to this. So this is actually starting to lean a little bit warmer. I feel like in the beginning I couldn't tell if it was a cool tone or a warm tone palette, and then at the end it's like kind of very warm. So then for the next one, I jumped into this second shade inside of the Caramel Obsession. So a lot of these colors are actually coming out of the caramel towards the end, and it looks just like this. I feel like that's gonna be a very similar matte. It's like a yellowy undertoned matte. It's a cool shade, and it's a pretty shade to wear with some of these warmer shades. But like I was saying, like it's just like nothing here is really like making me jump at this palette. The final shade, I jumped into Patrick Ta, and I jumped into this last peachy tone that's here. Very pretty, peachy, very glittery shade from Patrick Ta that I actually really like this shade. I think it's absolutely stunning, and I think it's gonna actually look very close to that because it's gonna almost even have as many glitters and everything. It's just gonna be the shift of the glitter that will make it different. So based off of the swatches released from Urban Decay, this is what the color story is looking like. The formula is going to be different. We're gonna have a lot of glitters in here, a lot of glittery particles in here. But just looking at this, and like every time I stare at this, I just wonder to myself, like, I don't know why I would want to pick this up. Like, I guess the only reason that I can understand somebody loving this is if they really love glittery shades on the lid, and maybe they just want to put a bunch of glitter down in different tones and maybe just use like the deepening shades every once in a while. But they're more about just like the glitters. They're more about like those really shifty shades. Then maybe I can see why somebody would really love this, you know? But like for me personally, I think you guys know where I'm going with this. I'm gonna make up my mind and say I really do not need this palette. I am not gonna pick it up. I just feel personally like there's a certain person out there that'll love this palette, and for me, it's just not me. I like palettes that have a little bit more array of depth to them, kind of like even the Patrick Ta one. I have these deeper shades, and the metallics here have like different dimensions to them. They're deeper, they're lighter, and the shades here that you have to like deepen out outer edges, there's 3 of them. You know, like I like palettes that give you that variety. This palette is a little bit more similar to even what you got with the Carli Bybel, but even the Carli Bybel palette, in my opinion, color story wise, was just a lot stronger. I can do very light looks with this, or I could really amp up the looks and do a lot with them. There's not that many glittery shades in here, but there is some glitter in this palette. But this one, just to me, I don't know, it's just not my vibe. All of this section here that is going to be primarily like the lighter glitters, I feel like on the lid, are they going to look so much different? Like, I don't think that they're going to do such a huge difference. Now, this could be all about the formula, okay? So this palette could release and the formula could be astronomically amazing, and people just think these glitters are out of the world amazing. But I just don't think that I personally would get use out of it, because I am not somebody who really loves glittery lids. And when I do like glittery lids, I've got Mrs. Pat McGrath right here that gives me my glitters. And I don't need that many of them. I don't need that much. I mean, I've got this glitter right here, and we could just dab on that and we can just go like this and just say, here we go. Now every single one of these got glitter. You want some glitter? Anybody else want glitter? I just feel like if I wanted to add glitter to any of my metallics, I could just grab into these amazing Pat McGrath shades that I own and just add that top of glitter that is going to look astronomical, and it's just, these shades are just not there for me. I even feel like the Caramel Obsession gave me all of like the bottom shades right here, and this has so much more depth, so much more depth, so much more variety in it. So I don't know, guys, for $49 US, to me this might be a miss. I would say wait for the reviews on this one, wait for some people to pick this up. But yeah, guys, that is my make up your mind opinion, just based off of these swatches and what I personally think. I think you guys probably would benefit from waiting for some reviews and maybe even waiting for the Sephora sale, or maybe even when it goes on sale. That's what I think. Sound off down below. What do you guys think? Based off of the swatches that you guys have seen released, are you guys kind of excited for this, or are you on the same boat as me? I want to know down below. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you guys really enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys in the next one.